So after getting through that horribly designed room, we can finally finish off this LP. Having a whole line of sparks right there, that's kind of redundant. Because like I think one fairy is enough. Although I'm so good at this game that I guess other people will need that many. Because if you haven't noticed by this point, I haven't died once this whole LP. Even in Zelda 1 I died. But that's because it's much easier to die at the beginning of the game, ironically enough. Because Zelda games, by design, have this really weird difficulty curve where they start out being really difficult because you have such a low amount of health. And you don't usually have access to potions or fairies at the beginning. Yeah, this is what I mean by the most amount of dark nuts. But they're not really a problem because of the great spin attack. Although when you're fighting two at once, it's slightly harder because the other one gets in your way and you hit their shield when you're trying to hit the other one. But just do what I'm doing and great spin attack into the corners. And usually the dark nuts would be stupid enough to just stand there and do nothing while you hit them. Yeah, this puzzle is really annoying because of the fact that why does that fire bar have to be so long? That's not a fair challenge. You're pretty much guaranteed to get hit by it. So you have to wait until exactly the right time to start shooting. And, well, I'd say that you really don't want to get caught by those guys, but there are portals that can take you pretty close to where you need to go. That's another thing I hate about this dungeon. Pointless rooms. Pointless doors. There was no point whatsoever to going into that Gibdo room other than to complete the map for the sake of 100% completion. See what I mean by pointless doors? I mean, oh sure, you get 2 hearts, but that's it. I mentioned it in Zelda 2, but the mini-boss theme of this game is actually a remix of the Japanese version of the battle theme in Zelda 2. And I was really shocked to find that out, because I thought that was an original theme. And I feel like this version of it is better because Minish did a better job because it has more to it. So it's not repetitive. And I think that was a situation where you kill the real Guinea and all the fake ones disappear. It's harder to tell which one's the fake one. And this is the second 4-tile puzzle. It's a little harder, but if you think hard about it enough, it's really not that big of a deal. I did it on the first try. But I have had trouble with this in the past. And more guineas. I guess these things are supposed to be gravestones, but they don't look anything like them. I mean, if they actually tried to make gravestones like they did in the Royal Crypt, then they'd be too big to fit in one screen. Look, another pointless room. And the puzzle undoes itself afterwards, but then you can just walk through it, and it's not like the game will punish you by getting you damaged if you fail the puzzle, so it's really not a big deal. Look, another annoying puzzle. Why are there so many of these fire bars everywhere? I know, because it's the final dungeon, but it's not fun. It's not fun dealing with these things, and video games should be fun. Why does it have to take such a long time for the burn effect to wear off? I hate this place. I mean, at least it doesn't have ice floors, but still. It's hard to figure out how exactly you're supposed to do this. This is so awkward. And there's repetitive level design as well. Like, this is the third time I've been to a room like this. So, is this a pointless room? In fact, wow, that was literally the exact same room that I had been to earlier. See what I mean about repetitive level design? And then you just I like how they brought back the locked blocks from Link's Awakening. I like that voice clip there. He's not kidding when he says that. You can actually run right past them. I love that. But yeah, he's not kidding. There is actually a time limit for this. It's an extremely generous time limit, thankfully. But I forgot to show it off before I removed the Game Boy player. But if you wait around for too long, then you will actually get a non-standard game over where you see Vati in front of Zelda when she turned to stone, and then it cuts to the game over screen. You don't see him transform, looking extremely powerful or anything like that. It's pretty underwhelming. But at least they actually bothered to do it. Like, they didn't have to give an actual time limit at all. They could have just done another thing where they said, quick, you have to hurry, and they give you as much time as you want. See? That right there. That's what you would have saw if you had seen the non-standard game over. And now we get dropped into one of Vati's 3 boss fights. His boss fights are really cheap and annoying. Generic villain dialogue. See what I mean? Why is it so easy to get burned in this dungeon? There's fire all over the place here. And you'd expect that from the fire dungeon. So he shoots fireballs outwards while you're standing still and are basically a sitting duck for them. It's a good idea to stand still and keep attacking with your sword to make sure that you hit them when they're spinning around him. Like, they'll usually run into your sword if you're standing exactly the right place. I hate how you hit so little times. And after a while, he'll start making it so that the eyes are covered with black fog that you can't do anything to. But if you know ahead of time that he's going to do that, then it's really easy and not an issue at all, because you can just use the gust jar during the few seconds that he wastes time not doing anything, and you can just suck up them prematurely. The entire screen seems to shake when you attack him. I guess that's a good effect. He's more powerful because he sucked up some of Zelda's life force. Some of Zelda's light force, but not all of them. And here we come to a much cheaper boss fight. Why do you have to constantly rely on these stupid splitter things in actual boss fights? Do they not realize how cheap and annoying that is? Do they really? It's completely random which parts of him will be red that you can damage. It's always random no matter what. And it constantly changes too. And you can't. This is what you should do, but I hate how little damage. I hate how little hits you got to deal there. It feels like it's a phase. It's a boss fight where you're restricted to only hitting it a certain amount of times, rather than being on a time limit and you can hit it for a really large amount of hits if you're skilled enough and get the boss fight done over with quicker. That's how boss fights should be, because that rewards skill. Because you're skilled at the boss fight, so you get it done a lot faster. This game, like games that have more scripted boss fights, don't really do that. I hate how there's so many different ways you can get hit when getting a single hit when you're... And look, now he just covers up the floor tiles, so I can't... if you walk into... I hate when that happens. If you walk into the purple stuff, then you'll get damaged. And the purple stuff is all over the place, so you gotta constantly destroy it. And it's so easy to get damaged by them or the falling boulders when you're split into 4 because you have a larger attack radius. Like, you're larger. Why did they think this was fun? This is not fun. And now he's so south that I was pretty much forced to back up into that wall there and disappear. So I was forced to charge up Split Gouge all over again, but oh, now he's back on the south side of the screen again. Why does he have to move around so much and so quickly? Oh, and he shoots electricity balls too. And I immediately got hit by a falling boulder and had to do it again. Yeah, that's fun. Did anyone playtest this? And I now have to charge up again. This boss fight drags out for an eternity. And you're forced to make it so that all 4 links hit the red stuff all at once. Because otherwise he won't, for some arbitrary reason, you won't be able to attack him. I don't see how that's fun. And here's another point where Islo is annoying, because you can very easily do this before Islo talks to you. But you can't skip Islo talking to you. So you'll do it, but it won't work. Just for no reason. It just forces you to listen to exposition that you probably already knew because you already beat the game. I like this music. And using the Ocarina glitch does not allow you to get past those boulders. It's only very specific sprites, like villagers, that you can walk past. And even then you can't walk out of a building by walking through them, for some reason. And I actually use codes to have all the items, like the flippers, at the start of a game once. And so I ended up having Zelda following me around for the entire game, which I loved. Like, I love being able to do that. Because basically you enter Hyrule Town from the left or right side while you're still Hatless Link, and the festival will still be going. And for some reason, when you enter the festival from the left or right side, you're going to spawn in the center part of Hyrule Town. But anyways, this is one of the cheapest fights in the game. Remember how much I hated the fact that you wandered around shrunken during a boss fight? Well, that's back. I feel like this is yet another boss fight that's scripted in that you can only deal a certain amount of hits before all of them disappear, and like you can't end it sooner. You can't end it sooner than they want you to, no matter how skilled you are. And oh great, that's fun. I love dark rooms. Why does it have to be completely pitch black? So you're pretty much forced to use your lantern here, because otherwise you won't be able to see the things you're supposed to attack, and it'll take you out of there, and you'll have to flip it over again. And that really sucks, because you pretty much have to be attacking one of those things at every single opportunity you can. You pretty much have to be attacking every second that you're in there. I don't see how this is fun. Sometimes when I'm doing that and taking advantage of the great spin attack, sometimes I'll just get hit for no reason. Like, I'm mashing the B button as much as I can because that's what you have to do to keep the great spin attack going for some reason. But I know I'm not doing anything wrong, but I still get hit for some reason. I made that look really simple and easy there. But another thing that really annoys me about this boss fight Well, there are two things. One is that you have to rely on these things again in a boss fight. And I didn't do anything wrong there, but for some stupid reason, even though I did exactly the same thing I did last time, I didn't break all 4 of them. Why does it have to be so precise? Why do there have to be energy balls shot out at you while you're split into 4? And you're so much larger and you're not allowed to get hit, or you'll have to charge up all over again. Why do you have to be standing in such a precise— What? What? The energy balls very clearly hit the eyes. That is bullshit. What, because I was standing too close? Bullshit. Why does it have to be so precise? Yeah, I was really angry at this boss. You can tell. Not really sure what the point of having bottomless pits here is, though. And look, it happened again! You have to be standing in a very precise way, or you'll knock one of them too far to the left or right instead of just straight back at him. Why can't it be programmed so that it only goes straight back at him? I didn't have nearly as much trouble with Ganem and firing his projectiles back at him. So, now that you defeated Vati, he vanishes into nothing. And apparently you're supposed to know that Link sealed Vati in the 4 Sword, and that's why he's in there in 4 Swords and 4 Swords Adventures. But you never see him do that in this game, which is really stupid considering that this is supposed to be a prequel to the 4 Swords games. But you kill Vati, and he goes back, and he leaves behind the magical cap that he used to become a powerful sorcerer. And Eslo returns to his normal form that looks nothing like a Minish. And because Princess Zelda has a just heart, even though that was never implied in the entire game, I guess having the Triforce of Wisdom makes you a person with a good heart all by itself. But anyways, even though everyone died because the castle fell apart, Zelda's wish made everything good again. So it really doesn't matter. What? Okay, they were standing in a perfectly normal looking part of Hyrule Castle, but didn't look transformed at all. Why couldn't I go to a place like that? And all of the monsters get wished away, but in the next game, they're back again. So what was the point of that? Who released them this time? What's the point of wishing them away? They're just gonna come back in the next game. And now, for absolutely no reason whatsoever, the Minish are forced to return to their homeland when the Minish door is about to close. I'm not really sure how all of the Minish in the entire game are supposed to get here before the Minish door closes. Especially since we're not shown any indication that they're here right now. Why do they have to leave this dimension? Yeah, and this is why a lot of people thought that this was the first game in the Zelda timeline. Because this explains why every Link afterwards wears a green cap. But then Skyward Sword came along, and it was revealed that that sort of pajama nightcap was actually a part of the uniform that the people in the school wore. So, whoops. But this is the second game in Zelda timeline. At least right now. But yeah, that was Minish Cap. I don't think it's not giving nearly as much attention as all the other Zelda games. It doesn't get nearly as much credit as it should. I mean, it has its problems. It doesn't have nearly enough dungeons, which is inexcusable considering that Link to the Past was also on handheld, or the remake anyways, and it had over 7 dungeons. So, you can't say there's technological limitations. They're very capable of having like 7 dungeons in this game, but they didn't. Instead, they have a lot of padding in between the dungeons. Like, Link's Awakening had a lot more dungeons than this. And a lot of people just play Zelda for the dungeons. Which feels like you're not a true Zelda fan and you're just kind of missing the point, because Like, I like Zelda games for the sense of accomplishment I get from completing a task, no matter what that task is. I don't have to be completing easy puzzles and dungeons. So I don't entirely mind all the pre-dungeon padding and the fact that you spent such a long time backtracking to get the treasure you earned from fusing kind stones. Because you can warp all over the place pretty early on, and the overworld's pretty small. And for the most part, the warp points are put in good places, looking at you, Minish Woods. So I really don't mind the fact that you go all over the overworld getting treasure chests. But the kind stone system is heavily flawed. While I definitely think it should return, I just wish it wasn't randomized. Like, I wish you could buy specific varieties of kind stones. And I wish that you had an in-game notebook that kept track of which fusions you had made. And that specific fusions for specific treasures were locked onto specific NPCs at all times. And most importantly of all, I wish that people couldn't change their minds about wanting to fuse kind stones with you. Because that is just incredibly frustrating and obnoxious. I hate how I don't have a kind stone piece that I need to fuse, and so I have to leave the screen, and when I finally get back to them with the kind stone they want, oh, all of a sudden they don't want to fuse kind stones anymore. Now I have to fuse kind stones with some other person to get the same result, and I don't know what that person is. I feel like the kind stone system should return, but it should be polished. It should definitely be a lot better. But I like this game quite a bit. It's just got flaws. It doesn't have as many dungeons as it should. But I love how Hyrule Town feels so alive. And I love the way the graphics look. I like the soundtrack, especially the dungeon themes. And the plot is kind of weird. Like, I don't know how they got all of the monsters strapped into one chest. But it's a good game, and it sucks that so many people ignore it. Maybe it's because it's made by Capcom. I don't know. Stay tuned for the extra part.